SportsCenter with breaking news from college basketball. University of Arizona has fired head coach Sean Miller. This according to our Jeff Borzello. Last month, the NCAA charged Arizona with 5 Level 1 rules violations. He was accused of not promoting an atmosphere of compliance and monitoring his staff. He'd been with the Wildcats since 2009, taking Arizona to the NCAA tournament 7 different times. But this investigation began a couple of years ago. During his first 9 seasons there, the Wildcats won over 70% of their games, making 7 tourneys. And he was a 3-time Conference Coach of the Year. Since then, not so great. Haven't made a tournament since 2018. And remember, February 2018 is when the investigation began. ESPN's Mark Schlabach reported the FBI had a wiretap where Miller discussed paying $100,000 to ensure star freshman DeAndre Ayton signed with the Wildcats. Once again, Sean Miller out at Arizona.
All right, so this is a struggle that my Nats fan family has made sure that I hear about. The Braves haven't won a game yet this season. Coming into today, reigning NL MVP Freddie Freeman only has the one hit in his first 13 at-bats.
That family, yes. A tough start to begin the year for sure, but for Freeman, he's faced so much more in terms of adversity, not just last season, but throughout his entire life. Hello, Ryan Smith.
Hello, Sage. Hello, Randy. And you know, that's a great point, Sage. In 2020, when you think about it, Freddie Freeman embodied what it meant to overcome hardship. Early in the year, he contracted COVID-19. He experienced 7 days of symptoms, including a fever of over 104. These symptoms were so serious that at one point he prayed to God, please don't take me. Yet he recovered, he played, and despite returning to the field just 5 days before opening day, he was crowned NL MVP. But baseball pales in comparison to what matters most to Freeman, his family. In this excerpt from the upcoming E60 profile Full Circle, the Freddie Freeman story, Freeman recounted to our Buster Olney one of the most painful moments in his life, one involving family, the loss of his mother when he was just a boy.
It's about 1 o'clock. Classroom phone rings. They said I need to go to the office. There's a big courtyard. As I'm getting closer, I could see through the windows. It was my Uncle Mark, my dad's brother, and my brother Philip. Obviously just bawling. I'm about 100 feet away, and I just took off running straight for him. Because I knew.
On June 13, 2000, Rosemary Freeman died. She was just 47 years old.
I remember when we were in the facility, I can picture him still leaning against the wall, uncontrollably crying. When he went to go say his goodbye, my dad was with him.
I asked my dad if I could go back in there. By myself. So I went back in and just hugged her. And just kissed her on the forehead. I just couldn't believe she was gone. I don't even know how you process that as a 10-year-old. Everyone kept telling time heals, and obviously when you're in that moment, You don't think anything is ever going to help?
When she passed away, he lost everything. His whole world flipped upside down. Who Freddie wasn't there at that time.
Such a heartbreaking story. And for more on Freeman and his life inside and outside the game, let's welcome in the man who brought us that story, Buster Olney. Now, Buster, aside from what we just saw there, in terms of the entire interview you did with Freddie, I saw you tweet out the trailer for the Freddie Freeman story, and you said, quote, "Working on this has been one of the best experiences I've had at ESPN." Tell us why.
Because it was so moving and inspiring to see the layers of love within the Freeman family. You know, that interview, the first interview we did with Freddie the day before Thanksgiving, it was scheduled for 90 minutes. And I realized when I started asking about his mom that Freddie made up his mind going into that interview that no matter how painful this was, he wanted to talk about his mom and his dad because he wanted to honor them. And so even the most painful stories, the best stories, he was going to walk through, and it was obviously wrenching for him. You saw there, at the end of the 4-hour interview, Freddie looked into the camera and said, "Look at this," and he was kind of self-deprecating, his eyes were watery, and he held up the box of tissues. He had completely emptied it in that 4-hour interview. It was amazing to watch.
Wow, so much raw emotion. And then I think about his 2020, Buster, and we knew about his experiences with COVID, his MVP, but something much more important happened to him in 2020, right?
That's exactly right. You know, he and his wife Chelsea were going through the process of trying to grow their family. You know, Freddie always wanted a big family because that's what he had growing up. And so because they were having fertility issues, they decided to go with a surrogate. Well, 9 days before they were going to have the egg transfer to the surrogate, Chelsea became pregnant. And then they also quickly made the decision, you know what, we're going to have this baby through a surrogate as well. So just like his parents, Freddie and Chelsea now enjoy the Freeman Five. They have had 2 little boys added to Charlie.
That's a beautiful story. Talking briefly about his baseball season, what's interesting about it is his MVP season is that it almost ended before it started, right?
That's exactly right. Look, 3 days after he was in bed with the COVID aftermath, he was facing Jacob deGrom, and he really struggled at the outset. A couple weeks into it, he was actually beginning to wonder, you know what, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to help the team. But Chelsea sent him a text that really turned him around from that point. He batted .378. As Bryce Harper told me when I was working on this piece, he was amazed that Freddie was able to come back as quickly as he did and as well as he did, given where he was at in July fighting COVID.
And Buster, he has a young family of his own now. You mentioned the Freeman Five. How does his mother's passing and what that experience was like for him impact the family he has and hopes to have now?
Since he was a little boy, since he was 10 years old and lost his mom and almost lost his father at age 12, he's always wanted a big family. And so what he and Chelsea have gotten in the last year has been so meaningful for him. As he said to me, this story is crazy. And he really feels like it's come full circle for him to try to have what his mom and his father, Fred, had as they were growing up in Orange County.
Well, he has a beautiful family, and what an experience, what an interview. Buster, thank you so much. And by the way, speaking of Freddie's story, don't forget to catch the E60 Profile Full Circle, the Freddie Freeman story. It premieres Sunday at 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Cannot wait to see that. Randy, back to you in the studio.
All right, Ryan, thank you, sir. Freddie Freeman's Braves, time for an update on SportsCenter. They're taking on the Nationals, still in search of their first win of the season. And bottom of the first, Trey Turner. Oh, man, you may have a lead, but it is short. It is not long for the scoreboard there. It's a 2-run shot there for Trey Turner, made it 2-1 Nats. Braves have since come back and tied this thing at 4. Matter of fact, Freddie Freeman was just intentionally walked here as we're only in the second inning. Well, it's not a pitcher's duel. The nation's